How is everyone doing today? Welcome back to another We Are Tottenham TV live stream. We are going to be covering all the current Tottenham news floating around the last 24 hours. Ben, as you've noticed, is feeling a bit under the weather today. Must be all those Frank farts he's been sniffing, right, Brian? So we got one Frank fart sniffer to another. We had to get Brian Daigle in the house. How are we doing, Brian?
Mate, I'm great. I hope you're well. I have to say, I heard that discussion. There's only one person that's the king of the throne when it comes to Frank. That's why Sim's ill. I've come to claim the throne back. But it's good to be with you, brother. It's good to be with you in the community again.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you, Brian. We've seen a little taste of Frank Ball in his first friendly last week. We're going to get double the dose. We'll get into that on Saturday. All very, very exciting news. Apologies, there's a bit of problem with the headphones. I'm just trying to fix it. Speak, Brian, before we get into
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Cool.
All right, let's get into the update then, with all the news circulating over the last 24 hours. And where else to start, Brian, but the daily Morgan Gibbs-White saga, the saga that never ends. Always continues to rumble on. Ty Marshall of the Manchester Evening News is now reporting Man City have no plans to re-enter the race to sign Tottenham target Morgan Gibbs-White. Nottingham Forest were hoping they would reignite their interest and rival Spurs for his signature. Obviously, that follows on, I think it was Alex Crook yesterday, reported that Forest hoped Gibbs-White would only leave them for a club of a certain stature, and they don't believe Tottenham meet that requirement. But with obviously Man City moving on to other targets, they signed Ryan Cherky. They've signed other players, Reinders as well, who can play in midfield. They have obviously moved on from the Gibbs-White deal. They were reportedly interested in him about a year ago, but looks like they've moved on from him, which is obviously great news for us, because I think a lot of Spurs fans were I saw on social media getting worried, that Gibbs-White Man City, here we go, we're going to get dropped on us, is going to be an absolute dagger to the heart. But it seems as though there's an unlikely chance that's going to happen.
Yeah, I've said all along, every single rumour that comes out or tweet, if it hasn't been done by David Ornstein, I quite frankly don't believe it. There's been so much going on. With Man City, like you said, they've spent so much on midfielders. It makes no sense. Even if they did, does Morgan Gibbs-White in a World Cup year want to do like what Calvin Phillips did, what other players have done when they've gone there and just not get enough first-team football? So I'm never worried about Manchester City. And then when it comes to Marinakis saying he doesn't think we've offered to pay the release fee. Mm-hmm. It's as plain as simple. We have offered to pay the release fee. So it doesn't matter what he wants or what he says about other clubs. It's the ball's in our court now. It's now just got to go through the Premier League and everything. And I just hope this gets wrapped up sooner than later. But I'm still 100% confident that by the end of the window, or hopefully sooner rather than later, my man Morgan Gibbs-White is wearing a Spurs shirt.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird feeling at the moment, isn't it, of signing this deal? Because obviously we got the here we go, nearly 2 weeks ago now. So for all intents and purposes, you would have thought, we're already in our minds putting Gibbs-White in the team, in the squad. He's already a Tottenham player in a lot of Tottenham's minds. But this weird legal limbo, which I don't think I've ever encountered before as a football fan, let alone a Spurs fan, has really put us in this state of unknowing and limbo, because we don't know how it's going to play out, what's going on. Obviously, we assume with what we know, with the information we know, it should happen, because there's not really any reports still that the deal won't go through or the transfer won't happen, and he doesn't want to come to stop all these different things. But it's just very little kind of news coming out in terms of any updates on this transfer, in terms of any updates on any legal proceedings. We're getting conflicting reports on the legal proceedings. Some are saying it's been issued to the Premier League. Some are saying they haven't even officially done it yet. So if they haven't officially done the legal proceedings, then I don't understand what's holding up the deal. If you understand, like, why hasn't it gone through if there hasn't been any official, unless it's just a threat, and that threat alone is enough for Tottenham to back away for the time being while they kind of talk to experts and all these kind of things. But it's a really weird and frustrating situation for us fans to be sitting here and waiting for all these updates. So when it comes to Gibbs-White, are you already thinking of him as a Tottenham player, or have you not quite made that mental process yet?
No, I'm there. Until the fat lady sings and it said it can't be done, I'm there. I see him playing against Burnley. Like you said, I don't think I have ever seen this in a transfer saga or a transfer negotiation. And if you had to pick all the teams, if someone said to you, Simeon, there's going to be a transfer saga, it's going to get messy and it's going to be like this, you'd say Tottenham immediately, wouldn't you? It's just we can't do things straightforward, simple, bang, without a little bit of drama. But it's gone too much. And like you said, we've never had to deal with this kind of thing before. And not just Tottenham, any fans. With this legal battle or appeal, everyone is in a grey area here. No one knows what's going on. I'm going with no news is good news. And like I said, the Premier League haven't come out and even said, right, we are looking into this. This is going to take X, Y.
Yeah.
No one knows anything. The whole footballing world, but obviously mainly Spurs and Forest fans, are in complete football wilderness and in limbo and dealing with something we've never had to do before. But still, I don't think Spurs have done anything wrong. I still think he becomes a Spurs player. And I'm going to remain very, very positive about this until I'm told by Ornstein or Spurs or Forest official or the Premier League, deal dead, which I don't think we'll see.
Yeah, and it's a weird one as well. With this, this is the second time we've heard as well that the selling club doesn't want to sell to Tottenham. We heard it with West Ham. Obviously, they did end up selling to Tottenham ahead of Chelsea, and they didn't want to wait for other bids. But the whole saga of that one, we heard they would rather sell to anyone else but Tottenham. Gibbs-White now, we're hearing, not Forest, who we don't even have a rivalry with. We've got nothing to do with them. They saying we don't want to sell. We want to sell to other teams, not Tottenham. We don't want to sell to Tottenham. Why are teams so reluctant to sell to us? What is it about us right now? Is it because we're our league position? People see us as in a state of weakness, and they don't want to be seen to giving us a helping hand to get back up to challenging for Europe. Is it because they see us as a direct rival because of where we were in the league? Is it because of the way Levy's previously dealt with these clubs with transfers? Okay, we hit the nail on the head. Is that your hypothesis?
Yeah, that's why I'm headbanging at a heavy metal concert right now. It's been said a number of times that dealing with him, either buying a player or selling a player, is a nightmare. And to Levy's credit, when it comes to selling them, like you look at Kevin Wimmer back in the day, how he got £18 million from Stoke, I will never know. How some of the deals he gets done for players that aren't up to the big standards, how he gets the fees, I don't know. But we all know when it's come to transfers and players we've lost and players we've brought in that have just normally been... How long does it normally take to get transfers done? I can remember Jan Vertonghen taking ages. I can remember people, even Blewing Clinton and G took time to get over the line. There's just a problem when it comes to negotiations and Levy's tactics over the past. And he has rubbed people up the wrong way, hasn't he? There are chairmen that are like, oh my God, here we go, we're dealing with him. Or won't deal with him because of his negotiations. So I don't think it's anything to do with 17th. I don't think it's anything to do with rivals. Look at Chelsea and Arsenal. They are... rivals Premier League wise, they're all doing it. Transfers happens within the Premier League, but when it comes to us, and especially now that we're going for the star players of the teams, complications have come. Not this time with Levy, not this time with Gibbs-White. I don't think he's done anything wrong, but I think there is a problem there.
We don't think he's done anything wrong as Tottenham fans, but apparently Forest are reportedly not happy with how Tottenham have obviously conducted themselves in this transfer, going behind Forest's back to find out about the release clause and activate it, and basically trying to poach their best player right under their noses. And I can understand their unhappiness, but I don't understand outrage about wrongdoing, because I don't think there has been much wrongdoing. Or put it this way, I don't think we've done anything that any other club wouldn't do or wouldn't do under the circumstances. I think we've found out about release clause, which an agent has told us, and we've activated it. Now, I understand that Forest wanted to keep it discreet and they didn't want other clubs to know about it, and it was between the club and the player, and basically they had an agreement with Gibbs-White. If anyone comes in for 60 million, we'll accept it, but we're not going to reveal this fee because we I guess want to get more money out of them, or we think you might be worth more, but 60 million is a figure which, if they bid, will agree to you, knowing you're an ambitious player, that you can leave. But at the end of the day, if any other club knew about this release clause, they would have acted on it, and we're the ones who found out, or we got told, and we acted on it. We haven't done anything out like immoral or anything like that, or bad. It's just that's just the name of the game, isn't it? This is just how the game's played, and Forest have every right to be not happy about the fact that we've reactivated it, but not with us. With they can be frustrated with the circumstance, but it's like when if your partner cheats on you and you blame the person they cheated on for it. You know what I mean? Yep. It's the person, it's your partner. It's their fault. Like that's the who should be angry at. So them being angry at Tottenham, I feel like is a bit misplaced.
It is, but simply, in all honesty, if we look at it as well, if I had said to you, forget the release fee, forget like we did. If I had said to you a couple of months ago, what would your starting offer be for Morgan Gibbs-White? Where would you be?
Starting offer, I would have been around 60. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's an out of the blue number. Whether people value him that highly, like I do, or they think it's a waste of money. For the Premier League player who was on the short list of the Premier League Players of the Year, who's got into the England squad, 60 million now is kind of the average transfer price for a Premier League player, isn't it? A very good Premier League player. So it wasn't like some really weird and obscure transfer release fee. It's bang on 60 million. Maybe because Man City were offering more, they're annoyed. But 60 million, I think, would have been a fair starting point anyway. So also, if the agent knows, the player knows, and the club knows, is it a secret anymore?
Is Not it really anymore, yeah.
You know, it is a secret when three people know it, and especially with the agents. It's how football works nowadays. Maybe the transfer rules, like the Bosman change, football's evolved, the way transfers are handled. Maybe there needs to be a change in transfer regulations or whatever. But we've bid £60 million. How we found out, or if we found out, is up in the air. But I think 60 million is a fair price anyway.
Yeah, I agree. But I guess we'll have to wait and see as this transfer continues rumbling on. It's just quite ironic. The one time we actually pay the money put the money down, like the one time we do it, this happens. And are you worried that's going to make Levy put off Levy ever putting the money down again?
Don't. He's just started doing it, or Charrington. Listen, you got to remember the very fact that he put it down is quite different, isn't it?
We have to all just try and tell Levy, look, I know this happened, but this doesn't usually happen. It usually goes smoother than this, Levy. I promise you. Please continue to do this. It does go smoother as usually.
We need to get one of the Men in Black, the nebulizer.
Well, exactly. He just remembers, all he remembers is the bid being accepted and him being a Tottenham player. Exactly. He doesn't have to remember this whole saga.
Exactly. We'll just wipe his memory of the 2 weeks.
Brilliant. All right, next transfer we're going to talk about is a very odd transfer link that came out yesterday. This is from AS in Spain, talking about Rodrigo. That according to Ed Burgess in Spain, AS says Tottenham have entered the race for Rodrigo, saying that due to the new investment in the club, Spurs were willing to really push the boat out and try and get Rodrigo in. Thomas Frank's a big fan of the player. However, today, Florian Plettenberg gave an update saying Rodrigo is not a target for Tottenham, and any reports that Tottenham have entered the race are wide of the mark. AS in Spain are not notoriously reliable, I have to say. They're much like a tabloid, The Sun, Daily Mail, where they'll post these rumours with very little substance, and they'll basically just blow away in the wind and everyone forget about them. I feel like this is one of those. Rodrigo to Tottenham, was anyone really believing that?
Joe, I had all my. I thought the 12-year Gareth Bale special relationship was finally kicking into gear. I thought it was finally going to start bearing fruit. Yeah, there was no chance. It was dismissed as quick as it was put up, and I have to say the reaction to the link on Spurs Twitter was pretty much, no, we're not. Let's move on. It's just one of those out of the air that I don't think there's any chance of this even materializing into like talks or anything. This is just BS.
Yeah, I just looked at that rumor and I just laughed. Like, I don't know who believes that or who believes we're going to be anywhere near that, especially as well with other clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, I think, all interested and very seriously interested. This guy's got the world at his feet. Not to say that I wouldn't love him at Tottenham or I think, you know, he's too big for Tottenham or anything like that. I just think right now that we're, as much as I'm excited about the new project with Frank and all this stuff, we are a team that finished 17th last year. I understand, look, you're talking to a guy who completely understands why and all these different things, and I think it's not really representative of what strong position we are currently in the squad and all these different things. But Rodrigo, he's not going to be looking into all that. He's just going to see the league position. He's going to see Tottenham 17th. They're a joke. I ain't joining them. I'm looking for teams that are going to be seriously challenging for league titles and Champions Leagues. He's coming. He's coming because he's not getting enough game time in Madrid, and he wants to be a superstar at a big team. He's not coming to join Tottenham, and we're not going to ever financially compete with Liverpool and Arsenal for Rodrigo. We're never going to pay what it's going to cost, like the 90, 100 million potentially. Plus, he's probably going to want superstar 300 grand a week wages, all this kind of stuff. The big thing in the report, which also made me laugh, was Tottenham want him, but they don't want to overpay. It's like, what is this report? What are we going to try and get him for 45 million? Is that what they're trying to suggest? I mean, it was a nonsense, ridiculous report. It was never ever realistic or ever going to happen. And if you're getting excited, I'm sorry. You got excited over nothing. Yeah,
and like you said as well, I think obviously players like Rodrigo want to leave clubs for regular Champions League football, like yearly guaranteed Champions League football. And at the moment where we are, we can't offer it. Yes, we're in it this year. Can Spurs be assured Champions League football next season? No, we can't. No, we can't. So players like this that will demand the huge fees and wages, we're not going to compete wages unless this takeover goes through. But yeah, I just can't see it because he's going to want regular Champions League football, isn't he?
Absolutely. He ain't coming to Tottenham. That's for sure. I can guarantee everyone that. All right, next story we're going to be talking about is Yoane Wissa. This one's fairly interesting because he obviously, Sammy Mockbell reported yesterday, he has left the Brentford pre-season training camp early due to the speculation about his future, which has led a lot of clubs on alert and a lot of clubs reportedly accelerating their interest in him. According to Graham Bailey of TBR Football, Brentford have rejected a 30 million opening offer from Tottenham for the striker Yoane Wissa. Ben Jacobs reporting Spurs are keen and in talks with Wissa, but Newcastle are set to make a formal bid for Yoane Wissa, believed to be in excess of 30 million. Brentford want 50 plus, and David Ornstein, I think, reported yesterday Newcastle did have a bid rejected. I think it was 25 million plus add-ons for Yoane Wissa. So a few people now reporting that Tottenham very seriously interested. Obviously, we heard about this interest a few weeks ago. This was obviously before we signed Kudus and potentially Gibbs-White, had them through the door. For you, Wissa, right now we have Solanke Richarlison. Richarlison was left out the squad for the game against Reading on the weekend, led to a lot of speculation about his future. Frank said they're just building him up and he's set to play on Saturday. For you, is Wissa one that you would happily replace Richarlison with? Do you think this is a deal we're seriously wanting to do? And are Brentford going to stick to their guns with that 50 million price tag?
First of all, I think Wissa has split a lot of opinion when this has come up. People are calling it a sideways step. Some people are saying, yep, it's definitely an improvement on what we got. And some are just like, no thanks. I would love him at Spurs. I'd love it. If we look at Spurs right now, and should we say Richarlison is going, or should he stay and we can have a third striker maybe because of Richarlison's injuries? He comes in knowing Thomas Frank, obviously knows London, had a very good season last season, has got Champions League football. I've seen a lot of people, obviously last year's contract, 28, is going to be too much money. I think we as a Spurs fan base, and we keep thinking about this resale value. Will he have resale value? We need to stop thinking that way because we need players to come in now to help the young team we're assembling. And I think he definitely brings something that both Richarlison and Solanke cannot bring or do not have to their game, shall I say. Newcastle look very, very eager to get him, don't they? And you would have thought maybe London and Frank would have been the draw for him. But apparently he's come out and said he's actually favouring Newcastle now. So I could see him at Newcastle, but if he came to Tottenham, it'd be a welcome addition for me.
Yeah, I think obviously he's had a really great season last season. What was it, 19 Premier League goals.
Yep.
Frank really used him to the best of his ability. I think he offers something different to Solanke. I think he's been getting better and better each year in the Premier League. I think he's a good player. I'm worried that 19-goal season last season is an outlier rather than something to expect from him regularly. I think he's more of a 10-goal-a-season striker rather than a 21, in my opinion, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it still makes him a good striker, but I don't think this is a guy who's going to be regularly getting 20 goals, put it that way. So I wouldn't expect that from him, albeit maybe he has become that. I just kind of doubt it. When I watch him play, I think he's very good at, like, when he's running in behind, he's throwing goal, he's got little time to think about things, quick finishes, good finishes one-on-one. I don't think he's like a top class striker. I think maybe if you think because he got 20 goals, this guy is going to take us to the next level. I don't think that, but I don't think we need someone in the backup striker role to be that. I think Solanke's a very good striker. I think we yet to see the best of him in a Tottenham shirt. I think we're going to see more from him next season. I think he offers different qualities to Solanke. I think between them, they can both be getting a good number of goals. I think Solanke's hold-up play with Wissa's running in behind will complement each other really well. However, I wouldn't pay really over 30 for him, to be honest.
I'm at that level with you.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to pay over that amount, you're probably better off going for maybe a younger player who's got maybe more of his prime ahead of him, potentially, rather than someone who's... Look, it's okay buying a 29-year-old, but if you're buying someone at that age, you're buying it for the short term and probably not, for the next 2 years or so. So I think when you're talking about 50 million, that has to be for more long-term investments or players who are ready to play but can be here for a while. Wissa in a couple of years might be looking to move on at 31, 32. Like, is he really going to be still playing for us at that age? I don't know, but that's not a problem. But again, if it's going to be this short-term solution as a backup to Solanke, between 30 to 35 at a push is my limit. I think anywhere near 40, I don't know if it's a good deal to do.
Yeah, I'm completely with you with 40 and 50 million. That is too much. But 19 goals last season, if I remember correctly, not a single penalty. Mm-hmm. And that was in a Brentford team. And then obviously you look at it, he's going to have a Kudus, he's going to have a Maddison. Hopefully he will have a Gibbs-White. Who knows if Sonny's still here on the left wing or another left winger is brought in. I think he could do. I really do think he could do something. And the same with, like you said, with Solanke. I think Solanke, when he actually gets the service, and if he is kept in the box like Brentford did with Tony, he could have a good season. But we're in Champions League football. We're about to play in 4 competitions. Does Wissa, Solanke, Richarlison, Solanke and Richie scream Champions League strike force? No, not really. But around the 30, 35 million. Like I said, if you go get a young striker, Simeon, then they've got to adapt to the Premier League. Have they done anything in the Premier League? And I think the star quality with this one is obviously he will come in and know exactly what Frank wants, do exactly what Frank does, and that could be a godsend for us. But like you said, if it was 50 million, no.
I wouldn't say, I'm not saying young striker, I'm just saying younger, maybe around, 23, 24 kind of
Who would you
age
say,
bracket. Maybe someone like a Callum Wendo from Rennes. Like, he's a bit younger. He scored, I think, 17 in Ligue 1 last season. And so he's proven he can, a good goal scorer in a good league, and he might be a similar price, and he's got a bit more longevity about him. But he's not Prem proven, would obviously be the drawback. Yeah. But if you're spending bigger money, then you might as well go for someone, I think, a bit younger potentially than Wissa. But look, if we end up spending 40 million, look, it's not my money. If they want to do that, I don't really care that much. I'm just saying, I don't think 40 million for Wissa's the smartest piece of business, but I do like him. And I think he would add something different to the squad. I completely agree. And I also think him and Solanke, let's say we play that 5-3-2 that Brentford like to play, him and Solanke up front in a partnership, I think could be really interesting. Yep. I think because they offer something completely different, very similar to his partnership with Tony as well when they played that at times. So I like Wissa. Also, I do think it's definitely dependent on Richarlison leaving there. I can't see all three of them in the squad together. It's an interesting one, Richarlison, because I think Frank's going to like him. I think Frank's going to appreciate him as a striker. Now, as Tottenham fans, and what we've seen from him over the last 3 years is we know he can't stay fit. It's been a big issue of his. And we can't seem to trust that he's going to get the required time on the pitch to make a difference. We've also seen when he has been on the pitch, he has been quite good. I think we can all agree on that. I wouldn't say he's been incredible, blown anyone away, but I think he's been a pretty decent Premier League striker when he's been on the pitch. His goal-scoring record, I think, someone showed a few days ago, it's up there when it comes to minutes per goal. It's up there with the very best over the last 2 years. But I guess a lot of that is down to the little minutes he's played. But obviously, whenever he's been on the pitch, he's scored goals regularly. I think we could all agree on that. So if Frank looks at the situation and looks at Richarlison and says, you know what, I really like him, and I think I could back myself to keep him fit, and I'm going to keep him around, would that frustrate you, or would you be like, okay, that I'm willing to go with that?
It would frustrate me a little bit, and the only reason I say a little bit is Conte couldn't keep him fit when he was there, and Ange obviously couldn't keep him fit when he was there. So he didn't seem to have these injuries. He got a couple of injuries at Everton, and I will say the first season of Ange, around that Christmas, November to January, he was on fire. I think he was scoring pretty much a goal a game.
I think he got something like 9 goals in 10 games or something.
Something like that, or 10 in 11, whatever it may be. He was banging them in, but then of course he gets injured, and with Thomas Frank going into this, he might think he may be able to develop him and whatever. But can you take that risk on keeping him fit? That is the thing, because I do think when he is fit, he can offer us something. He does. He can be a nuisance. He can do things. But when we're talking strikers, I think we need a striker that we can depend on for fitness-wise and do the job and stay fit and bang in the goals. I don't think Richarlison is exactly ruthless, is he? We need a ruthless predator in that box to get the goals. And I don't think Richie's that. But then you add the element of trying to keep him fit, which is a huge issue. Unfortunately, it's the biggest issue. So if we could get Richie out, I would take him just because of the injuries. If we knew he'd stay fit all season or a majority of the season, then that's a tougher question for me. But we can't keep him fit.
Would you be surprised if Frank decided to keep him? Would that shock you, or do you think, Frank's looking? The thing is with Frank, he's got a lot of decisions to make, doesn't he, on a lot of players, and a lot of these players are players that probably would all have started for his Brentford team. So he's got a lot of players here who he's probably, the talent he's managing, he's probably never seen in his time in management in terms of being able to choose from this level of talent. And he's going to have to cut players that, some players he's going to have to cut are probably some of the best players he's ever managed. So it's a interesting dynamic.
It is. But you look at it, he's got a lot of decisions to make, and we're down to 39 days for him to make them.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the second game, and I think this brings it. I think this brings a lot into it, in all honesty. But yeah, he has got some big decisions to make. There are players,
especially if you want to bring in more players as well. That's even more players we're going to have to get rid of.
Exactly, and the days are the days are going past, aren't they? Like I said, what is it? 49 days, 39 days now. So it's just over 5 weeks.
It's mad. We're talking about one hell of a clear out. We're talking about potentially over 10 players leaving this club.
Yeah.
And not 10 players like giving them away like we did with Dyer and Lloris and like cancelling contracts and things like that. These are players we're going to have to get decent fees for a lot of them if we're going to justify getting rid of them. Or they're going to be left out of the Champions League squad. I mean, I don't know how we're going to do it.
Well, Sim, you've talked about players going out by selling them. We've also got loans.
Yeah.
Where players are going to get out. It's like, right, who are we sending out? So, like we said, Thomas Frank is got a few weeks now to realise what he wants, what he needs, and who he doesn't want. And we've got to get a wriggle on and support him.
Absolutely. Next story we're going to talk about is from Sky Germany, and this is from about João Palhinha, and the story is that Tottenham are monitoring the João Palhinha situation. It's nothing concrete at this stage, but there is interest. Palhinha's camp has been informed Bayern are open to talks should suitable offers arrive for the 30-year-old. Now he's found himself out of favour at Bayern Munich for whatever reason. Obviously, he was highly sought after when he left for Fulham, and it seemed like a bit of a coup. If you remember that, he actually a year before he left Fulham, he had that famous, I think it was on deadline day, he went to Bayern. He flew over to Germany, didn't he? And the transfer didn't happen. He had to fly back to Fulham. Then he ended up getting his move a year later. Now it looks like he could be on the move again. I'm a big fan of Palhinha. Obviously, right now we've got Basuma, Bentancur, potentially Gray even playing the 6 Sarr. It's a weird one. We talk about 6 and 8s, don't we, right now? But Frank plays a double pivot. It's very different to what we were doing under Ange, where you had a very defined 6 and 8 rule. Now it's a double pivot. It's not like this guy has to be the most defensive, this guy has to be this. It's like there's going to be a lot of flexibility there, I feel. But when it comes to João Palhinha, do you see Tottenham being seriously interested in a deal? Do you think this is a deal we should definitely be pursuing? Should we be going for a permanent? Do you think a loan deal makes more sense? How do you see this deal?
Well, I think first of all as well, I mean, João Palhinha fell through because of something with Bayern, but I think that was also with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg turning down Fulham when we're trying to get rid of him as well.
Yes.
So there was kind of a connection there. I'm with you. I'm a big fan of Palhinha. We've said that we needed experience. Well, this guy comes in very experienced, both Premier League and internationally. Does what it says on the tin with him, and would be great for the youngsters to see. I think with our youngsters as well that are staying, they need players like this to say, "Oh, look at this experienced guy. He's been there, done it. This is how he does the role. Learn from them. Ready for." We need if we want these stars to become as good as they are, they need some help alongside them. They need some experience on and off the pitch to show them and teach them and educate them on different things to do on the football pitch and off it and how to conduct yourself. I don't see a downside to this deal. I just don't. He comes in, his stats for Fulham were fantastic at what he does. He was right up there at the top of the table for what he does. He comes in, I mean, I know there's talk about a loan for a season or a transfer. I think going for the loan for the season would be the better option and obviously free up money for other areas. But I would love to see him in a Spurs shirt. I really would. Yeah,
I think it's a weird one because he comes in at Tottenham as our best probably defensive midfielder. I think in terms of defensively, the amount of ground he covers, the amount of duels and tackles and things like that he gets involved in, easily becomes our best on that front. But I think there's a bit of a kind of conversation or debate at the moment what Tottenham truly need in that centre mid, because a lot of people think, we need a monster 6, someone who just covers loads of ground, someone who eats up the ground and makes loads of tackles and is a bit of a beast in there. Some argue we need more of a playmaker. We need someone, who is good at getting on the ball, spraying passes around, a really good deep passer. Because I feel like we don't have either of them. We have a lot of midfielders, but like I think Bissouma's more of a monster six. But the problem is we can't get out of him enough. He's too inconsistent. Bentancur's a bit of a. It's hard to know what box you'd fit Bentancur in, to be honest. But I think he's also a bit of a midfield destroyer more than a passer, I think, or a deep line playmaker. I wouldn't say he's a playmaker, but he's obviously a good level midfielder. Obviously, another one who, when he was at his best before his injury, was a phenomenal midfielder and then hasn't quite recaptured that level of form yet since getting injured, albeit there are signs lately of that happening. So we have some good midfielders, but we don't have any like elite defensive ones, and we don't have any like elite passers. So there's kind of two attributes I feel like we're really missing in that midfield. But I don't think we have much space to bring in more than one right now. So what kind of attribute do we go with? Do you go with someone who's a bit more destroyer, but then maybe are you worried about the technical level of the midfield? Or do you go with a more technical midfielder who's good at maybe being a bit of a deep line playmaker, but then maybe do we have enough physicality in that centre mid? Like, it's difficult to know where to go.
Well, if you look at, I was talking about this yesterday, Simeon. If you look at Spurs number sixes in the Premier League, like recent Premier League era, and when we've done well, you've got the hardest now. You've got the Sandros, you've got the Dembeles, you've got the Wanyamas, you've got the Palacioses, and you probably put a Scotty Parker in there. As maybe not hard, well, he was hard as that, but not like the strong build. But they were get the ball hard in the tackle, get the ball off to the creative ones. They were all of those that played during a successful Tottenham, like the style of football and where we were going during periods of their career. And then you look at Michael Carrick, who is the opposite number six, the ball carrying. I think it just proves how, in Spurs' recent history, how pivotal this position has been. Especially when you look at Palacios and getting into the Champions League. I hold Wanyama in the same breath there. I think that during that Poch team, the front were incredible, but Wanyama with Dembele, that partnership in front of the defence, it's been a very much needed and successful position for us when we've had one. And I think Palhinha is obviously in the other side, but maybe you get it will allow one of the creative ones to be alongside him. And again, we're playing 4 competitions. The main thing we've learned from that injury-ravaged season last season is just how key match sharpness, match freshness and rotation is going to be important to us. And having this guy there for squad rotation and on games where we need this type of player, I think you won't find better for what we can get than João Palhinha.
And I also think, I was like thinking in my head, I'm leaning towards, okay, we need more of a passer than a aggressor. But then when you think about it, if we are obviously going to play this double pivot, and if we get someone like João Palhinha, could that facilitate Bergvall dropping a bit deeper, and maybe you could get the creativity out of him? If obviously the Gibbs-White deal goes through, could you play him deeper next to a Palhinha as well? And that also, you've got a bit more technical ability in that middle of the park. I think so. I kind of feel like I do think we might need a defensive midfield, a deep lying playmaker. But I think in the short term, you just get that strength and aggression in there and that physicality. You rely on, and you see if one of our creative players right now can do it, because you've got Decky and Maddison who can play that 10. So you do have Gibbs-White, Bergvall for creativity in that middle of the park if need be. So I think that should be enough to see us and to see if we can work with that. Now, if we can't work with that, then maybe in a years you go in another direction. But there's a good chance that Bergvall develops even more. He maybe becomes that deep line playmaker. Gibbs-White maybe develops into a role which he can do that as well. It's all about what Frank wants in a new midfielder. Is he looking for someone who's going to up the aggression or up the technical ability? That's going to be the big thing. But if I agree, when it comes just drawing it back to Palhinha, good player, I think becomes easily our best defensive midfielder. And I think Frank would know how to use him. And I think what Frank is very good is masking players' flaws. And I think Palhinha is a good midfielder. He has a few flaws, but I think for me, especially I think on the ball, I think he's could improve that aspect sometimes. A bit like Højbjerg, like sometimes he can panic when he's being pressed and things like that. But I think Frank is very good at masking players' flaws, and if he can do that, I think he's got so many good attributes that you'd want to use. Okay, let's move on to the last transfer topic. This comes from an ITK called Himothy. He is saying that Tottenham are also interested in Carlos Baleba. He is on the list amongst others. Baleba obviously currently playing for Brighton. He's probably going to cost a lot of money. Younger than someone like Palhinha, someone who's kind of taken the Premier League by storm. I would love Baleba. It's just that Brighton always demand. Basically, Brighton's model is pay this massive fee or go away. Now, when you're talking to Man City or Chelsea, or mainly Chelsea, they end up usually paying that massive fee. I can't really see Tottenham doing that.
Well, do you know what as well? Just I'm going to link this to the Palhinha bit as well. Maybe this is why I favour bringing Palhinha on loan, because it gives Thomas Frank the year to look at what he's got and then see someone like Baleba for the next year and see how he does, to see if he can do it 2 years in a row. There's no doubt he is a very, very, very good player and had a great season. But like you said, Brighton are, right, you seen it with Casino, didn't we, last couple of years ago? You're going to pay this huge amount of money, and if you're not, just go away. And I can't see us. Again, this is the thing, Sim, it could all change if we find out investments come. If before the window changes we hear big investments come, then maybe Tottenham will start showing, right, you want this, we'll pay this because we believe in the player. But I just can't see it. I just can't see us this season going, right, here you go, bang, there's a huge amount of money for Baleba, unfortunately, but would be a great addition.
And so I think D. Merles makes a good point as well. He says, rather have Wharton over Baleba if they are similarly priced. And I do think they would be similarly priced. Yeah. And I think the thing is with that is what I'm talking about, strength and passing. Wharton kind of covers both. That's why I'm so desperate to bring him in, because I think he's someone who all of a sudden you up both those levels in that midfield with one signing. Whereas Baleba, Baleba's great. I think he would also massively up the midfield level. But I just think Wharton is that little bit better passer than him.
I would agree with you. They're both going to be monstrous offers, and they're both, again, I mean, we talk about Brighton and their chairman. Parish is no mug, is he? He ain't gonna. So we are talking about blockbuster bids for Tottenham Hotspur for either of the two. Great to be linked with these players. We wish that we would be able to pursue it and get it done. These deals seem very, very hard for us to get done, especially now with 39 days left, and we know how we normally deal with transfer deals. I just can't see either materialising, but we'd love it, wouldn't we?
It'd be fantastic. All right, and last story comes from Tottenham themselves, and they announced that on Saturday we will obviously set to place Luton at Kenilworth Road at 3 p.m. But they've announced, very interestingly, a second friendly to be played behind closed doors at Kenilworth Road. We'll be facing Wycombe Wanderers in an additional pre-season friendly at Hotspur Way on Saturday. Oh, is that Hotspur Way? Sorry, I misunderstood that. So they're playing a behind the closed doors friendly at Hotspur on Saturday. This fixture will take place ahead of our trip to Kenilworth Road to face Luton Town, allowing Frank an opportunity to hand more match minutes to more players. Frank has been quoted as saying, "We want an extra game in our schedule to give as many players as many matches as many match minutes as possible in order to put them in the best position physically. We'll play two even strong teams, and they will play between 60 and 75 minutes, maybe more. By the end of Saturday, 22 players will have a lot of match minutes, and they will be in a very good place before we go on tour." So a second friendly for our first team, Brian, has been organised. Obviously, that probably gives you indication of the size of our squad at the moment, the problems that we're having with our squad, because you look at the friendly we had on Saturday against Reading, and I remember naming some of the players that we left out of that squad. And it was some really big names there that they got left out. Coming up of this on Saturday, obviously, I think Maddison's back in training. I don't know if he's going to be fit and available to play, but he's back in training. You've got Tell, Odegaard, and Gray all going to be available as well. Is Solomon going to be available potentially? You've got Richarlison, apparently he's going to be available and back from injury. So you've got all those players to add to the, I think it was 21 players that were already in the squad for Saturday. So he has got a hell of a job on his hands picking it. So I think he's done this, an extra game, add it to the day, so that every person, he doesn't want a situation like Saturday, I guess, where Jan Minhyuk travelled and didn't play, or George Abbott, or a situation where, or Phillips as well, or maybe a situation where he didn't want to put someone in the squad because of lack of space or whatever it was. So now we're going to get a massive look at everyone on Saturday. Both games are streamed on Spurs Play, so despite the fact it's behind the closed doors friendly, we will be able to watch it, and we're going to do a watch along for it. So 2 watch alongs for the price of 1 on Saturday. Do you reckon there will be some players who maybe even get to play in both matches? If he's saying every player is going to play between 60 to 75 minutes in the games, are some people going to play in both? Or how? Like, it's going to be very interesting to see who he picks to play in what game. But what's great is we're going to get to see everyone play. No one's going to be left out. And if he's going to have to make a decision on players, it's not going to be based off the fact that he hasn't been given a chance to use him.
So, first of all, double the games, double the player ratings for you guys.
Absolutely.
That's going to be the longest one ever. Having 2 go, we've had a double trading sessions, haven't we, with Pochettino and the others, and now it's double matches. Is it a masterstroke from Thomas Frank to say, right, I want to have an extra game to build their fitness up? Is it because the other thing that he wants to say, I've got so many players, I've got to see them all? But also, it's great that he's actually trying to get an extra game in, and like he said, trying to give players 65, 70 minutes for their fitness and get it all built up in their legs, ready for the start of the season. It's a weird one, isn't it? I don't think we've ever seen this before. How they're going to get from Hotspur Way to Luton on time, we'll have to see that, what the traffic's like. But it's something new, isn't it, from the manager, and something we don't see. Good to see that both games are available, and he will get to see a lot of players, and seeing them they're going to get 65, 70 minutes. That would lead me to assume that some of them will get that extra 15 minutes each, so some of them will complete at 90 minutes, whether that will just be the first team or he looks for it for players he is thinking about that aren't up to scratch or aren't fully fit yet. So it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Well, he's known for his outside-the-box thinking, isn't he, Frank? I reckon he just looked at the squad on Saturday against Reading, and I reckon, considering all the players we've got to add into it for this upcoming game, I think he knew it's not going to be possible in a 90-minute spell to give everyone an opportunity. It's just not feasible with the amount of players we have. We've got unbelievable amount of players. He could field 2 squads of 15. Or 15 each squad in each game, and still have some players left over who are injured as well on top of that. So I think with Frank being new to the job and him wanting to give everyone an opportunity and want to see everyone so he can make those decisions with the best information that he has, it's actually in a way more effective, because you can't have all the information if you're, first of all, either not using players like Abbott and Yang in match situations because you just don't have the numbers, or if you're only giving them 5 minutes here and there as well. They're coming on what you bring on a player for 5 minutes, and you've got to make a judgment based on those 5 minutes if you want to keep them around or loan them or sell them and all these different things. That's no real way to make a judgment, is it? So I think he's done a really smart thing. He's like, look, we've got all these players. Let's just get another game. So everyone gets about an hour or good amount of time to show what they can do over a long stretch of time. Then we can make the best judgments, the best decisions over the most evidence. And I think it's something we've never seen before. It's something that most managers wouldn't, I don't know, maybe just haven't thought about doing or something like that, because they're just, I don't know, it's just such a unique way of thinking about it. But, most managers would just try and either have to leave players out because of the lack of space or only give them a very little game time. If I remember rightly, Ange last season, there were some games where he would bring on at half time he'd bring on Scala and then take him off on like 65 and bring on Valise for the last 10 minutes or something, or last 20 minutes. So he had to make subs, within the half just to give players an opportunity to show their worth. So I think this is genius from Frank. I think it's very, very clever. I'm very excited to see everyone given an opportunity. And I think this is the best way he can make all the decisions that need to be made in regards to the squad.
I have to say, with that striker thing, I think you had Lancashire in there as well. He did it. I think he made 2 or 3 subs in the second half for strikers during the Hearts game. It was Hearts last year, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Hearts.
Yeah.
We played. Like you said, yeah, and the thing is, we all speak about pre-season and say it's all about getting your fitness and getting minutes in your legs and learning the passages of play for the new coach and everything. So having an extra game is going to do exactly that, isn't it? It is, like you said, he is known for his outside-the-box thinking. He's known for being innovative, and we'll see how this goes. But now as Spurs fans, we've missed Spurs for so long, we get 2 games in a day.
The only thing I would say, he said they're going to name 2 strong teams. Now, do you think he's going to kind of... Because obviously during pre-season, fitness is one thing, but obviously him coming in as a new manager, he wants to try and build some cohesion in the team, doesn't he? So I'm assuming, during these friendlies, he's going to want to keep some semblance of, the team he's going to want. Obviously, all the places up for grabs right now. So I guess maybe he doesn't have a team. Yeah, he thinks is going to be together to build that cohesion. But are we going to learn anything, do you feel, from the lineups he picks in which game? Like in terms of, okay, that 11, you can clearly see the players he's making decisions on, and this 11 are the team that is the team he's going to go forward with, or how do you think he plays it, or do you think he'll mix it completely and it'll be one team is going to be half and half, another team will be half and half?
It's a good question, but you look at it, like we were just speaking before, he could start off in one game, tell Yang and Richarlison. That's 3 forwards that haven't even had a minute on the pitch.
Yeah.
Not even. Oh, yeah. There's 4 of them immediately, and we're just talking the front line. So does he want to use that to see what they've got and see where they fit, or does he want to mix and match them ready for the first team? Do you see people like Donnelly and Devine maybe even playing together? Donnelly, Scarlett, Lancashire and Yang were all at Orient yesterday. Mm-hmm. So they've got minutes in their belt already. So are they going to be spared and maybe playing the second game? It's a really fascinating question, and one that we've never had to have the answers for because it's never been done. So I think he's going to... I think he uses Arsenal, Newcastle and Bayern to keep funneling into the first team, doesn't he? So maybe he is going to use these 2 games for players that he hasn't seen a lot of, players that he does think need fitness, and then bleed in some of the first team assurances. What does he do with the captains? Is it going to be 1 game Romero, 1 game Sonny? Is it going to be they both play a half each in who? The amount of questions that will get thrown up because of this, and there's so many different answers, and only Frank will know the right ones.
Yeah, the thing is, I think everyone's going to get an opportunity in either game. I wonder if it's going to be one team, 1-11 plus a few subs in one game, and 1-11 plus a few subs in another game, or will there be some players that overlap into both games potentially? If a player's only gotten 20 minutes in one game, does he get 40 minutes in the next game? Is he going to balance it out like that? It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how he plays it. And pray for me and Ben, because we're going to have to do a predicted lineup on Friday. And I've got no idea how we're going to predict.
I hope he's feeling better. I hope he's feeling better by Friday and I'm not in the chair.
Yeah, I hope. Me too. Hopefully it'll be all right. But it's going to be a tough predicted lineup, I think, that we're going to have to kind of contend with. But look, there has been a little update on João Palhinha from Bild in Germany. They say Tottenham do have an interest in João Palhinha. However, Palhinha is determined to make it at Bayern. His clear goal is to stay and establish himself at the club. Only an extraordinary offer could change his mind. So Bild are claiming that Palhinha has at the moment, no appetite to leave, I guess, and he wants to stay.
So back to the dreams of Wharton and Baleba is what you're telling me. Back to the £90 million bids.
Well, to be fair, he might want to stay, but if Bayern don't want him and they want to force him out, maybe maybe that will change his mind. It seems as though Bayern don't fancy him. It seems as though they're not interested.
Again, with Palhinha, wouldn't you? And I've said this about Spurs players as well. Being a World Cup year, wouldn't you want to be getting regular first team football? Would you,
yeah.
You know what I mean? If he's not, we've seen that he wasn't in company's plans a lot last season. Sorry. Unless he knuckles down and obviously does and is exceptional in training and company goes, oh, do you know what? You might have forced your way in. It's a World Cup year, and he'll obviously be in the Portugal squad. So maybe that comes into it nearer the end of the window.
Yeah, I agree. That's why, as well, I think a loan deal could suit everyone. Potentially, if he comes to Tottenham, he proves himself, and then he could even go back to Bayern and he gets that World Cup spot potentially. Yeah. So and also, potentially, if in a year's time, has Wharton price come down or is he more available? Baleba, all these kind of things.
Yep.
So I think a loan deal, I think, makes sense for everyone. But we'll see if Palhinha would be up for that. Is he determined to stay at Bayern and not give in? Because let's be honest, it's a dream move for him, moving that to such a big club at that stage of your career. I doubt he's going to want it to just be done after a year. He's going to want to fight for it. And maybe he's looking at the situation thinking, anywhere is probably a step down from where I am. And I'm if he's confident and ambitious enough, he might back himself to find his way in the Bayern team.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. This one could drag on till the transfer deadline day, couldn't it, for a loan?
100. That stinks of a deadline day loan. Palhinha,
Yeah.
Palhinha on loan, deadline day. That is seems like an obvious loan. That is that, though, from today's Tottenham update. Let me know in the comments section below everything we discussed today. And as well, if you want to see more of Brian Daigle, he is on the road to 10K with Tottenham on Tour. Please do go show him some love and go subscribe to Tottenham on Tour. How many subs are you away from 10K at the moment,
we're
Brian?
about 493. 493 away.
Let me post the link to Tottenham on Tour in the chat. And everyone, look, there's over 1,000 people in the chat right now. So if 500 of you or 493 of you go and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour, you can get to 10K right now. You can help him. We could celebrate it live on stream.
We want to get there before the start of the season. So we've set ourselves a big target and hopefully we can do it. And anyone that does
in the chat.
Thank you very much.
There is in the chat. We've got 1,400 in the chat. So just 493 of you, go over to Brian, show him some love, go subscribe to Tottenham on Tour. Would be much appreciated. And Brian, I'm sure, would appreciate it a lot. We've got a super chat here from Malware. Big up to Malware. He says, CDM in Frank's system needs to be comfortable receiving the ball under pressure and distributing accurately to launch attacks. Palhinha is a no. That's obviously a bit of a concern I've got when it comes to... But the thing is, that's the thing. I agree, like, the CDM needs to do that, but what you have to understand is we don't play the 4-3-3 with a single pivot anymore. So that defensive midfielder, like in Andrew's system, that defensive midfielder, right, is going to be the deepest one. And so he naturally has to have those qualities. But in a Frank system, we play a double pivot. Yep. So why does the defensive midfielder have to be the one to receive it under pressure? Why can't it be the other pivot who's going to be in line with him? So if it's a Bergvall or a Gibbs-White who is comfortable doing that, so feed it to him. You don't have to feed it to the guy who's uncomfortable. You can feed it to the other guy. So I think there's a bit more flexibility there in Frank's system because it's a double pivot and you've got more options to choose from.
Exactly that, Sim. If he is in the double pivot, there is one that needs to be able to sniff out danger. There's one that needs to be comfortable on the ball. Some of the great number sixes in the Premier League, not just Spurs, all they did was got the ball and then passed it on to their midfield partner or back to start a move. And we need someone that's strong in the tackle. I agree with Malware that if it was just straight, like if we needed a Carrick kind of six, then Palhinha's a hell no, because he's just not got that in his locker. but I think he adds defensive stability and insurance in front of for the defenders in front of him, and is able to do those short passes to the more creative to get on with what they need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so everyone in the chat seems to be subbing to you, Brian. Well, a lot of people saying they're already subbed.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I don't have YouTube Studio on my phone because I forgot the password, but I can get the rough. Unless Ben Kaufman's in the chat. If Ben is, then Ben can. Let's see if we've gone up. We've got up 30 subscribers.
All right, so keep going, people.
Thank
keep
you
going.
to the 30. Thank you to the 30 people. Really do appreciate it.
It looks as though Chelsea are set to sign Hato and Xavi Simons, which is not great news. They're always signing players, Chelsea. Never, ever stopping.
I don't it's mind-boggling, isn't it? I don't understand, and we all talk about these rules in football and whatever. They are just ruthless and go out and get everyone. They are on Championship Manager settings.
Literally. It's
they
crazy,
literally, I remember when I was a kid and playing it, I used to start off at Spurs and then I'd set 3 or 4 different managers up and just sell all my crap to them for like 20, 30 million pound a player, have all the money, then quit and then just be Tottenham with like Roman Abramovich and stupid money. I don't understand how this is happening. I don't understand why these players want to go to Chelsea because you're not going to get regular minutes. There's
and also
so much...
you get like a year to prove yourself and then you're out the door.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at Nkunku. Look at the players they're trying to get rid of that just don't cut it. I just can't. If they go to Chelsea, then what are you doing? It's become like Man City, when Man City were spending big money, and you look like the Calvin Phillips that don't get game time. That's what Chelsea have become. How are you going to get regular minutes?
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, and it seems as though like they sign all these players for big monies on big contracts, and they're young players. They're going to need time to develop, and they need time to grow. And then if they're not cutting it after a year, they go, okay, bring in the next youngster, bring in the next new guy, and then it's like this never-ending cycle of players looking to improve and stuff. But look, to be fair, they have what they just did win the Club World Cup and they, finished 4th last season. So they'll argue it's a strategy that's working, but it does seem a bit bonkers from the outside.
Don't get me wrong. I would love us to be as ruthless as this. I'd love us to go right. We're having. Obviously, we're not there yet, and we won't be for a while. But they go out. One thing you can say about Chelsea throughout the Abramovich era and now the Bowley era is they do back their managers.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. They definitely give them the money. All right. What else is there to talk about? I think that is really it for now. That is all the news we have to give you at the moment. And yeah, look, if there's any more breaking news, we'll bring that to you right here on We Are Tottenham TV. But for now, Brian, I want to say thank you for joining me on today's stream and appreciate your time. Thank you for filling in for Ben.
Always.
But that is today's stream, and that's today's Tottenham update. We'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.